Hello and welcome to this week's Silly Point podcast with me, Phil Dillon, editor of Wickets and Pickets.com, and Scott Sawyer from the Sunshine Coast Daily in sunny Queensland. How are you, Scott?
Going well, mate. A little bit of a storm smashing down at the moment, but yeah, we're going pretty well here. How are you out in country Queensland?
I'm in Emerald at the moment, yeah. So it's pretty warm up here, let me tell you. I've lost a few kilos, I reckon, travelling up here today. But we'll have a good chat about what's gone on in the cricket this week, and then you're going to be having a chat with James Bazley, the Brisbane Heat rising star, later on in the show. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and an old backyard cricketing foe. So it's good to catch up with.
Yeah, I understand that you and he were used to go head to head back in the day.
Yeah, well, I just went and fetched balls that he hit back over my head mostly. Yeah.
Scotty, there's been plenty going on in the world of cricket this week. What's caught your eye?
Mate, obviously the one days and T20s are pretty split. Aussies batted brilliantly in the one days, and then the Indians struck back in the T20s. I think Warney called it early in the series. Pandya was the one to watch the next, what are they calling, the next superstar of cricket. So he lived up to that hype the other day.
Absolutely. I think there was a case in the one-day games that all scores except for the one when Australia lost the final game, all scores past 300. That's pretty good going. I produced some amazing tracks.
Oh, mate, and some really quality hitting too. Like it was probably Finch was in really good form before his injury. Smithy, insane form, and then then sliding into the T20s, I thought the Indian batting was really impressive as well. It's going to be interesting to gauge on how it bodes for the rest of the summer.
What was your take on the Ravi Jadeja incident in that second T20? That was a bit bizarre when he seemed to go down with a hamstring injury and then got hit on the head, and they called him a concussion substitute when he'd already been injured with a hamstring. So it seemed, anyway.
Might have been don't know if delayed concussion's probably the wrong way around there. I'm pretty sure I know what Justin Langer thought of it. He made that pretty clear. And Bernie copped a massive spray. To be honest, I think there's probably got to be a bit of refinement of that rule, whether it's some sort of HIA test straight after the knock and things like that sort of got to happen. It seems, the timing was interesting to say the least.
I'm not saying for 1 minute the Indians did cheat in inverted commas, but I mean it is open to that sort of thing. I suppose if somebody could go down with who's not been informed, let's say, and they get hit, and then they go down with something like that. It's a chance of that happening, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess the other thing is that the Aussies probably aren't in a real strong position to call out or claim cheating against anyone for a while either.
That's true. You mentioned some clean hitting. I mean, we saw Hardik Pandya in one that really caught my eye was the Glenn Maxwell switch hit in that second T20. I know he got himself out again when they were in a decent position, but there was one that switch hit when he swapped one over square leg. I don't think I've ever seen anything that goes as long as that, and even left-handers were wondering how they couldn't hit it that far.
He's a freak, isn't he? Chappelli, I know Chappelli was blowing up about it. I think that was probably partly jealousy because he wouldn't have been able to do it himself. But he made some pretty wild claims too. He'd be bowling, the opposite side of the wicket without telling anyone in response. And I don't know. I think Maxi sort of explained it how he only switches the hands in a certain position. Normally, it's just the stance that changes. I can't see much wrong with it in that format. In the shorter format of the game, it's entertaining. Also, he was pretty impressive I think he had a couple of really good knocks in the one days too. He looks like he's back in a bit of form too, which is good.
Mm. Do you think that form could lead him into other stuff? Like he comes in as a pinch hitter in Test cricket, like number 7 or whatever, or do you think he's purely a shorter format player?
I think he still lends himself to the shorter format. Just they have trialled him before. I think maybe the Test team's moved beyond that a little bit too. Got the rise of guys like Green and maybe Maxi's time. In the baggy green, maybe it's sort of passed him by. Maybe he's just that sort of limited overs specialist, I guess. Maybe that's the better role for him, I think.
Talking of specialists, there's one special player in New Zealand who's stepped up to the mark again. That's Cain Williamson. He's got 11 centuries at Hamilton in his Test career. And this week he managed to do it on a pitch with a tinge of green, let's say. How does he do it?
Jim's mowing would be killing for a green like that. That was wild.
I think I've ever seen a wicket like that first day.
No, and then I've never seen a wicket like that not live up to what it was meant to do. I couldn't believe I think the Windies wasted 2 sessions and finally troubled him in the third, but it was too late by then. I just was expecting him to be skilled for under 100 both sides, but Cain Williamson's got to be one of the best. He's very close to my favourite batsman to watch, probably of all time. I love the way he plays the ball under his eyes, the soft hands, the ability to turn it on at will. He's so elegant, so technically sound. If you're a young batsman, he's got to be the guy. Coley is he's obviously in another class, but Williamson's just an incredible technician.
Talking of Coley, both he and Cain Williamson are going to be missing from the Test series, one in Australia and one in New Zealand for a little bit. The 2 best batsmen in the world missing games to be at the birth of their children.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think the game's obviously growing and developing as well in that sense. I know Gary Stead was more than happy with Cain missing games all later this month. You're only there for the birth of your first child once.
Absolutely. I mean, we've still got the Australia game going on at the moment, but Cameron Green seems to have done himself no harm by scoring a century in the first innings. But you'd say there was Joe Burns and Will Pucovski on the other end of the scale, sort of like not really done their chances too much with no runs in the first innings anyway.
Mate, they've left the door open for a Sean Marsh, Stephen Bradbury effort, I reckon. It's concerning. Yeah,
I thought you might say that.
No, you don't hope not. But pending what happens there's obviously a few days to go and then another game. But they really, really fizzled that first bat off, wasn't it? Green looks like an absolute talent. I think he bowled 8 overs for 1.15 and over. He's going for as well. Like he's a talent. And Timmy Payne's getting a really good look at these guys. So who knows it? Yeah, Burns, Pucovski have not put their hand up at all. But we just don't know what happens now. Does Green become an option in the middle order? I don't know. There's a fair bit to contemplate for these guys now.
Well, I'm just looking at the injuries that have been mounting up over for the last few days for Australia. Aaron Finch, another hamstring problem. David Warner, obviously with his groin. Do you think the schedule now that's coming up is going to put a test on players as far as injuries are concerned? And do you think that's going to be a struggle for Australia and India now with Jadeja's injured as well? Yeah,
there's definitely an issue there. And I think what I noticed was that they seemed a lot to be soft tissue rather than I think traditionally it was more the stress fracture, the heel spurs and things like that. But it seems to be a lot of soft tissue stuff, even with Finch. And noticing it in not just cricket, I don't know if it's like a post-COVID effect, but particularly the English Premier League, the scheduling seems to have wreaked havoc with a lot of teams over there. A lot of hamstrings, calf muscles, a lot of soft tissue injuries happening. So I don't know if it's going to be a kind of post-pandemic world that you kind of deal with these. Obviously, training programs are different than what they were pre-pandemic. Maybe that's part of the reason these guys aren't getting the same preparation in as they used to. yeah, again, like a long BBL season. We got international cricket on. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Talking to the schedule, it seems to me that the South Africa England games in South Africa are calling a write-off at the moment because of COVID. Do you think they should push on with those, or do you think it's time to call it a day and just wait and see what happens and then try and schedule them again?
Such a tough one, isn't it? Like just think of the money that the cricket boards would be spending, that the sponsors would have spent on each series. Like they probably feel almost obligated to try and push on to some level, but I think it shows how I guess frail everything is at the moment too. Like it seems like got all these grand plans, these bubbles, we're going to push on with these tournaments, but yeah, it's kind of it's a bit of a reminder we're only an outbreak away from everything shutting down. It feels like, which it must be an absolute nightmare for organisers. Yeah. I think I'd kind of like to see them press on if they could, but at the end of the day, they've got to do the right thing by whatever the authorities are telling them to do too. They can't really be seen to be breaking protocols and things like that on a world stage either. They've got to try and set the example to a degree too, I think.
Thanks for this week, and we'll have a chat next week and see what happens in the world of cricket.
No worries, mate, and stay safe out in the outback. With us today is James Bazley from the Brisbane Heat, and we go back a little way, don't we, Jim? You carted me around the backyard for a while as kids growing up.
Yeah. Mate, you're right with the bat. Don't worry about that. But, thanks for having me. Hello, Scott. Hello, Phil. And, mate, I was always fond of you back then because you always came out of the house and had a game with me. I was always nagging, so I was pretty happy when you were around.
I didn't enjoy bowling to you. Let's put it that way.
We had a bit of land, didn't we? So we did actually chase the ball a bit.
It's a big run.
Good times.
Mate, first off, cricket's been a fair journey for you. I think the first thing, we'll get it over and done with early because you know it's going to come. But living with Marnus, talk us through that experience. What is that like?
Yeah, mate, it's awesome. Me and Marnus go back a fair way now. Back we played under 12s kind of against each other and made the Queensland teams kind of together growing up. And known each other for a long time. Basically, when I got my rookie contract with the Queensland Bulls, I needed somewhere to stay. So I said, "Man, what do you reckon? Can I come into your house?" And he couldn't have been happier. So we're talking like 6 years ago now. That was great fun back then. And then he got married, and I've lived at a couple of other places, and then I actually lived with him again for this last 6 months as well while he's been home doing some training with him. Mate, it's been awesome. A lot of fun, a lot of games. As I'm sure you guys are getting to know Marnus a bit through the telly and stuff, and I guess he's always portrayed as someone who likes to play a lot of games, like he talks about his garage cricket, and mate, it's so true. We have so much fun. It's great to live with. He's awesome to be around for a lot of reasons, and we're good mates. So pretty cool, yeah, really cool.
Mate, have you worked him out a little bit? Do you think you can trouble him with the pill?
Well, mate, I have got him out a couple of times in a couple of games. One being a professional list day game, actually, where I was playing for Cricket Australia 11. Got him out, and I got him out in a club game as well. But got him out plenty of times in garage cricket. But to be fair, he's a pretty good bowler too, so it's probably pretty even.
Mate, what's and obviously I don't want to spend too much time on him. It's about you too, but just talk us through, I guess, some of the things that have, I guess, caught on the stories. I think you might have been involved in the vegetable chopping slips catches practice. Were you involved in those shenanigans?
Yeah, absolute shenanigans. As I said, that goes back a fair way now, but basically me and Marn living together, we make everything kind of a game, whatever it is in the house. And yeah, we were on dinner duties that night, and next minute we're cutting veggies and trying to take short leg hangers. So that was interesting, but he's turned out to be a very good short leg fielder, so you just never know.
You take a bit of credit for that. No,
yeah, I guess so.
Now, mate, going to, I guess, sort of where you're at the moment, you obviously played a fair bit of rep cricket growing up. You sort of hit that under-19 Australian team, Cricket Australia XI. You probably felt, I think we all felt your star was on the rise, and then you had some pretty serious injury for a couple of years. Where do you feel like your game's at now, and do you feel like maybe that's years that you can add on at the back end of your career too? Where do you feel?
Yeah, no, I feel really good with my game at the moment. 25 now, and very happy with where everything's at. There's still a lot to work on, I guess. Yeah, got into the system early through those pathways and learnt a lot. But I was a young and somewhat immature player thrown into high pressure cricket. Sometimes it's sink or swim for that, and I probably didn't make the most of some opportunities, and I had some injuries there as well. So, looking back, that was still a time that has been able to shape me, and shape the player and person I am today. And going through those down periods is actually, really important. So losing my contract and having to really go and work things out for myself the last 2-3 years has been the best thing that's happened to my cricket.
Does it make you appreciate, I guess, everything you're sort of doing now a little bit more maybe than you might have?
Mate, absolutely. I was just saying it to friends today. Like, my fiance Jess just keeps saying, like, you're so excited. Like, you're just so excited. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm just so excited. Yeah, definitely, Scott. Definitely, as I said, just older, just more mature. Had to learn some things about myself and the journeys of professional sport and the high pressure environment it is. And now that I've learnt them, I'm in a very good place to be in that environment, and that's only going to help performance as well.
Mate, were there times where you thought maybe it was too much, where you considered maybe walking away from the game or sort of looking at career options outside of cricket too? Was there times where you thought, is it worth it? Did you have those sort of moments?
Yeah, definitely have those doubtful moments. I think, periods for me was when I was younger and kind of contracted at 20, 21, feeling the pressures of, being contracted and needing to perform. I probably put a lot of pressure on myself and went through some periods of not thinking I was good enough and changing a lot and not knowing who to listen to, and you know what I mean, and just end up in a bit of a fizzle. But they're all learning curves that make you a better player in person. And there's definitely been those moments, that's for sure. But shucks, you wouldn't talk to many professional athletes where they wouldn't say they had a couple of those moments. I think they can be healthy.
Mate, looking at your form this year is very impressive. Do you feel like, obviously, you're, I guess, doing a bit of both? You're taking wickets, you're scoring a lot of runs. Do you feel like you've sort of cemented yourself as one or the other, or do you still feel like you can sort of present yourself as an option both with bat and ball? What are you sort of hoping to try and position yourself as, I guess, moving forward?
Yeah, mate, definitely present both disciplines. Absolutely trying to get better at them both, week in, week out, and that's another part of my journey, being an all-rounder as well. It's so easy to expect more from yourself, because you've almost got so much opportunity to contribute to a game that you feel like if it's not all together, you feel like sometimes you've failed. And I've had to learn that lesson too. For me, it was, I've got to get 105 for every game, and if not, I've failed. Who's ever done that? You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I've learnt to stick to a process and judge myself on the process I've gone through each match, but also, realize each match and realize the games that I'm actually just having a contribution, because I've got the opportunity to contribute with bat or ball. So if I get a duck, but yesterday I got a duck, you know what I mean? But I took 2 wickets, 2 for 20 or 2 for 14 in a 4 over game. So I walk away from that going, yep, you know what? I actually still had a great contribution on that match. So that's been a good lesson for me to learn, in the kind of emotional roller coaster that sport is and performance is. Learning to, take stock in those contributions, and suddenly when you have that attitude, you actually realize, and definitely this year, that I'm making consistent contributions, which means I'm consistently playing well and winning games for my team. And you still have those days where they both come off as well. So that's
have you had any, I guess, indication or I guess, feedback from? I know there was a bit of chatter around you maybe sort of making a Bulls debut at some point. Obviously, the Big Bash is starting up too. Have you had a bit of feedback that you're putting yourself in the right place for maybe a couple of starts in either of those sides at some point? Or
feedback's been good. Feedback's been very good this year, and coaches have seen improvements and maturities, in my game, which is good. But feedback is all good and all rosy at times. But for me, it's about scoring runs, taking wickets. You know what I mean? It's about performance, and that's what's helped me get a Brisbane Heat contract, and that will be what gets me a game. And I'm absolutely striving to play red ball shield cricket for the Bulls and white ball cricket for them. And the feedback's always really good, but it's making sure it doesn't get in your head too much, or even sometimes get you down too much. It's about control what I can control, and that's my process and scoring runs, and as I said, making those contributions to my team, my Redlands team, each and every week, and the rest will come.
Yeah, mate, I guess my memory may be a bit cloudy, but you were a pretty handy golfer as a kid too. Did you ever sort of carry on, or do you still get a bit of a hit now and then too?
Yeah, I still love my golf, mate. Every time kind of US Masters week rolls around, I'm kind of dusting the clubs out and getting the ball and the putter in the bedroom along the carpet. So love my golf, mate. Still try and play. Still would love to get scratched one day. Play a lot more through the winter months, but it's actually funny. It's one of those kind of things I go back and play, and it's not always easy to play socially because it was something I used to be so good at, and now I'm not as good. It's kind of, you get kind of angry and frustrated when you're playing. So I might have to, wait till cricket finishes and then try and be half decent again.
Hey, what are you playing off out of interest?
Mate, I got to 6. That's my lowest. I don't have a handicap currently. Or am I a member at a club, which obviously means the same. But mate, I think I could probably play off 12 kind of 14, 12 to 14. But I'd love to get down to single digits again.
Mate, who would be the best and worst golfers that you play with out of the sort of the Bulls Heat boys? Do you get a hit with a few of them? Yeah,
a little bit. Not a whole lot with the Heat or Bulls guys. I've had a hit with Jimmy Pearson. He goes all right. Jack Waldemuth, actually, I had a hit with him. We had like a golf day on his partner, like a way back now, and he was the starting golf, and he was terrible. But credit to him, he ended up getting down to 12. He was telling me the other day. So he's come good. Marnus goes well. One of the boys from Redlands, my good mate Lee Drennan, he stinks at golf, so I'll throw him under the bus there because he's someone I play with a fair bit when it comes to golf. So that's not a 4-hour round, that one. That's a bit more like 4.5, 5.
Sees a lot of the course. That's good.
Yeah, sees plenty of it, but he's a great bloke, so that keeps you going.
Mate, have you I guess just given the injury path you went down to, have you made some plans outside of cricket? Have you done a bit of study? Have you knocked any of that stuff off as well? What are your sort of plans outside the game? Yeah,
so chipping away at a uni degree, studying high school teaching, sport, obviously. Mate, enjoying it. I find uni hard sometimes, that's for sure. But just not putting a heap of pressure on that, Scotty. For me, I want to play cricket professionally, and when you look at the big picture, you only got a kind of short lifespan, I think, a short part of your life to give that a red-hot crack. So I've probably been a little bit more of a, eggs in the one basket kind of approach the last couple of years, just because I think that it's in Australia with cricket, there's only 6 or 7 states and a lot of good cricket players. So, I mean, you've got to do all you can, and I've just taken that attitude on more so. So that's probably meant, I've just done 1 or 2 subjects at uni a semester and a bit of part-time work just to get by. But I've really just focused on my cricket the last 2 years and getting back in the mix.
Mate, and do you think is your window maybe prolonged a little bit too, just given the couple of years off? Have you given yourself a time frame as such? Are you kind of not trying to put any sort of length of time on that I guess, career shot as well?
Yeah, no, I didn't put too much of a time frame on it. That's for sure. And I guess now getting a contract and being back in the system is something I'm very proud of, given all that sacrifice that I've done the last 2 or 3 years, and not pursuing uni too hard, and not working a whole lot, so financially sacrificing there so I can make sure that I'm free for every single Bulls session. In the middle of the day, I'm free to go on netball. Like, I just wanted to be free for everything. So a lot of sacrifice there. Makes me very proud of this achievement, I guess. But in terms of my cricket game as well, that hard work and that training's paid off. And so no real window on it, Scotty. But obviously, this kind of contract is very exciting and is a good stepping stone. Could be a good stepping stone. So just focus on one thing at a time.
Do you look at, can you pinpoint a few people that have been fairly big players in your career to date? Is there a few that you look back on that have been really generous with their time with you and things like that too? Is there a couple of crucial guys that have sort of got you here?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, being in the system as a young cricketer in the Queensland system, we had so many good coaches around there that were so helpful to me and always would care and give you time for me. But it was almost that I was listening to so much, as you do as a young player. You listen to everyone. I was listening to so many things, just as a 20-year-old cricketer does, that it ended up just not knowing who, I was as a cricketer. And even getting delisted from the Bulls, that was kind of the message they got. You know what I mean? Like, we know how good you can be. You haven't reached your potential yet. You just need to find out the cricketer you are. So actually minimizing all those voices was actually a good thing for me. Finding, one or two who I listened to and really trusted. That was helpful for me, simplifying it. And I got hooked up with an amazing batting coach and an amazing bloke as well, and in Sydney, and just kind of started fresh after getting delisted. Started with some fresh people, got a really good manager, a psychologist guy who I speak to, and a really good strength and conditioning coach as well. So kind of had those four, and we all created a bit of a plan for me to get better at, and they've just been so helpful. So that was a key learning for me as well. Find it's not necessary, all the people you need to hear from. You need to hear from them, but filter that information. But find one or two people, and also a lesson I learned was you've got to work things out for yourself is also beneficial. You know what I mean? Me working things out for myself is really good as well. So I had to learn how to do that, because that then really helps cement, growth in a way. When you go and do something, it didn't work, you understand why you did it because you're in your own brain. So that was another thing that has helped me, working things out for yourself.
And who are you as a cricketer? Obviously, you spoke of that, making the contribution, not pressuring yourself too much, but we know you can hit a long ball, you can take wickets. Who do you see yourself as a cricketer? Are you the big hitting, bloke that can pick up wickets, or are you a bit more of a, can craft an innings out? What do you like to see yourself as?
Tough one, because I probably still have a very high expectation of myself, kind of like, who I want to be, I guess. But I've worked it out. Like, as you said, I'm the ability to use my power in my batting. I've probably in the past kind of put the power away a little bit, and that's mainly a mindset thing. But this year, and it's been a progress of really embracing that strength of mine that I have, but also being quite good technically as well. So being good technically, but also having the ability to have a really good power game in a good technical fashion is something I can bring to a team with the bat. And with the ball, just not I went through stages of not being able to swing the ball and feeling like I had to swing the ball. You know what I mean? So then I was trying to do things to swing the ball, and I'm not a swing bowler because I'm tall, and you don't always see a heap of tall swing bowlers, do you? So I'm more a kind of
hit the deck.
Yeah, hit the deck, exactly right. Hit the deck, try and hit a nagging length, bowl a heavy ball. I'm not overly fast, but just be fast enough to be heavy, and just have some good skills and some good tactics, and use your field well is all the kind of things I've learnt to do really well. And still lots of things I want to improve on as well with that. But and I'll keep getting better at both. But that's kind of the mold, I guess, if that makes sense, Scotty.
Mate, how is obviously given that you're in the heat now there, how much has T20, I guess, changed the opportunities for guys like yourself too? And just thinking back, maybe as a young guy coming up, how much different is your game preparation, your training now, given the rise of T20? Like, I just imagine your skills development is just so much, I guess, more fast track than it might have been back in the day.
Yeah, mate, I think that's really well said. Skill development, fast track for sure. The ability to be able to, adapt between different formats of cricket within a week. As you see, the guys, the Aussie guys are going from T20s to ODIs to test matches next week. So that ability to adapt really quickly is also pretty cool. You see the modern day, players. Mate, it's exciting. I love it as an all-rounder. I think it's quite good for all-rounders in terms of opening up opportunities. But, mate, as you said, for young cricketers, for cricketers of the future, that skill development is pretty exciting. And it's probably, only going to get better and bigger, and it's only a matter of time before we see the next something, T10 or something like that. So pretty cool, really. Pretty cool, and I love it. I love all three formats, and working them out.
What have you made of you got your head around the rule changes yet too? The X factor and all this stuff. How are you?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty cool. So we're all just kind of wait and see how it'll play out a little bit, and it might take 1 or 2 games for us to work out how to really use that. And we'll be keeping an eye on other teams, no doubt, looking at how they use it as well. But it's going to be used, mate. It's pretty cool. The floating power play is obviously one that we've seen in previous, cricketing lives with the one-day internationals, kind of that floating power play. So that's pretty cool. I like that one. The X Factor will be cool. And then there's that bonus point after 10 overs where I think most likely in that scenario, the team that's going to win the game will probably have that point because they're going well. But it might just mean if there's a team getting skittled, you know what I mean, and they're 5 wickets down in the 7th or 8th over, they might go, well, let's try and just get this point because we're probably not going to chase the total. Interesting, cool rule changes. They'll be interesting to see and exciting.
Mate, we were having a bit of a debate about, I guess, whether they were needed or whether they would have been better off sort of shortening the season up, getting more internationals in. I guess on the flip side, a longer season probably opens up opportunities for a bigger portion of the squad too. What's the, I guess, chatter been like within the sort of the bubble at the moment too? Is there an expectation that a lot of guys will probably get a look in at some point through the tournament?
Yeah, definitely. The expectation is that, you're here for a reason and your job is to be ready when asked for, you know what I mean? So every player, it's your job to be ready to play the next match because you never know what can happen. So we all as players are got to be ready to go because it can change quickly. And even with the X Factor, it might change after 10 overs in the game where I'm getting dragged into a game or getting pulled. You know what I mean? Someone else is coming in. So we've got to be ready. That means got to prepare well. Long season. So that's exciting for everyone to probably get an opportunity at some point. And I think just for our international test players to also come back and potentially play a bit at the back end is also good for that reason.
And mate, what's been the there's a bit of push to try and maybe find a bit more consistency, I guess, within the Heat squad. You see like some of the talent that team's had past season. The women's team seem to be nailing it, but is there a bit of a search for consistency there too?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, coming in this year, there's a great feel around the group. Great guys, lots of great players. Buff's been awesome. He's nice and relaxed and keeps everything simple and clear. And we want to play an aggressive and exciting brand of cricket, and we understand that doesn't always come off. But I think the team's learnt from that over the last few years, and we'll find a way to, really play that brand, but make it a little bit more consistent. And then, when we get that right, we're going to be a really tough team to beat.
Mate, can you take us into that Heat/Bull setup too? Who are some of the characters in there, mate? Who are the guys that you kind of gravitate towards in the sheds, and who do you try and pick the brains of in there?
Mate, plenty of cool characters, and there's still a couple of overseas players that we haven't met up with quite yet. And Mornay Morkel's obviously pretty cool. Big guy, like massive guy. But like really chilled, loves his fishing and loves Australia, and has had some really cool input into some of our meetings so far and got around us. Linny's cool. He just smacks it so far. It's just ridiculous. So bowling to him in the nets is absolute nightmare. And then, as you said, mate, lots of young talent. Some players that have had a taste at Big Bash level and have got better, which is cool. And lots of players who have dominated, our grade season this year. So players that have got better, and that's just great news for us. Young players continuing to get better. It's good signs. Heaps of Redlands players in there too, which is cool.
Nice, mate. Like, what do you guys like? What do you guys prefer? Like I guess as fans, and probably Phil and I are pretty traditional in this view. We prefer to see greener decks. Conditions that will challenge batsmen's techniques. We don't want to see the bat just completely dominating like it has seemed to in recent years. What do you guys as players? Do you want to see a bit of a green top even as a batsman? You don't welcome it, but do you like to see a bit of a challenge out there when you're going out to
play? It's funny. I guess as an all-rounder, you rock up and you get a flat wicket and you're kind of like, sweet, I'm batting and I'm batting and making runs today. Or if you're bowling, you're like, oh, righto, and you rock up to a green seamer and you get to bowl. So it's always a funny one. But, mate, no, I definitely want an even contest, that's for sure. Definitely want an even contest between bat and ball. And, I guess each country kind of does that in its own way. Australia here, I guess sometimes it looks like it's batting dominant, but for most of the time, it's usually batting dominant by us, Australians, and not always by the teams that are visiting. So that's something also you need to consider is, teams come out here and they can't deal with our pace and bounce. So they're probably going, well, how the heck do we do this? Whereas we're good with it. So it comes down to home conditions a bit as well, doesn't it, mate? Being able to play your conditions well. But every player wants an even contest and understands, that's important.
But I guess probably the other thing too, and I guess it's timely with guys like Will Pucovski sort of looking to crack into that test team. I guess the mental health side of the game seems to be really prominent at the moment. Is this something that you, I guess, have encountered yourself, and sort of how do you try and manage the pressures you put on yourself, the external pressures? Is it, it seems to be a real thing that a lot of guys are sort of dealing with and struggling to deal with at times.
Yeah, definitely. And I think being in the bubbles this year is probably made that even harder. Mate, it's all part of the journey. It's part of professional sport. There's ups and there's downs, and there's disappointments. And mate, like I always say, Ricky Ponting, what do you say? Ricky Ponting's average is 55 or whatnot. I'm going to get my stats wrong because I'm not too much of a stats snuff, but you know what I mean? But he got he got 100 every 12, 15 innings or something, you know what I mean? So how much is there those down times and those disappointments as a cricketer? More so than maybe other sports, mate. It's something that, yeah, every player goes through and every player learns their own coping strategies. Sometimes it comes, quicker to others, and people learn it at a younger age. As I said before, with me, it took me a bit longer to learn it, and it took me, getting completely out of the system and working things out for myself for me to learn that and learn how to cope with that now at 24, 25. So, yeah, in answer to your question, it's definitely a hard game mentally at times, and just being able to deal with that well. And at times, yeah, as players have come out and said, not so well, is understandable and all part of the journey of, getting up and going again, I guess.
Mate, was there a moment too where you went through some challenges, obviously the time out of the game? Was there a moment where you went, I've got the love of this game back? Was there that sort of breakthrough moment where you knew, I can get back there, I can do this?
Yeah, I think for me, mate, I never really would say I lost the love of the game. I just kind of felt like I sucked, you know what I mean? And felt like how am I getting my next run? How am I taking my next wicket? Kind of that was the mental, demons I had for a while.
Yeah.
Or, how's my body going to stand up when it keeps getting injured? It's 2 or 3 years worth of that. So, yeah, never really felt out of the love of the game. But as I keep saying, like those times and that time for me and my persistence and determination through that period is going to be so helpful for me now and moving forward for the next 10 years playing cricket. Learning what I had to learn there is going to be the best thing that happened for me. So it's tough at the time, but yeah, so much growth can come out of it.
Beautiful, mate. That was unreal. Thanks for joining us and being so candid, mate. It was great to hear from you, and really hope to see you get out there in the Big Bash, and hopefully into that Bulls squad soon too. Mate, it'd be really good to see you out in the middle.
Thanks, Scotty. Pleasure, mate.